Uh, IG here. Cool. So we are officially live on YouTube. What's up, everybody on YouTube? This is my first time doing this live on YouTube. I'm super excited. Got some notes on some things I want to share with y'all. Very, very excited for this for today, right? We're experimenting. We're trying something new. Just in case you didn't know, I've been going live every single day for the month of December. So I started this on Instagram after having a conversation with Rashida. She came and she spent 2 weeks at my house. We spoke about what it took to grow an audience. Last year or 2 years ago, when I first met Rashida, she had about 60 or 6,000 followers on Instagram. She went live every day for, check this, 15 months. 15 months consecutive, did not miss a single day. She just absolutely knocked it out of the park, delivering value every day, getting better at speaking, getting better at communicating. And she challenged me to do something similar. So for the next month, for the rest of December, I'm going to be going live continuously every day. I have been going live on Instagram. We're moving it over to the YouTube channel because this is my main focus in 2025 is to grow the YouTube channel. And so I want to start coming on here and delivering value. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump into it, guys, because I got some things I want to continue to focus on. So the theory, or not the theory, the theme of these lives have been one word: focus. We've been focusing on dialing in your focus for 2025. 2025 is in less than 15 days. Unfortunately, a lot of people set goals last year that weren't accomplished because, quite frankly, they got distracted. They were doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that. They were chasing this strategy, that strategy. They started wholesaling. They started diving into multifamily real estate. They started doing gator lending. They started doing trading of cryptocurrency, and they were all over the place. And so what I want to do is I want to help you bring your focus back and bring your attention back, because ultimately you're trying to produce results in your life, and your results are a reflection of what's going on in your inner world. And today's topic of conversation is going to be way more focusing on you than it is focusing on any particular business strategy, than it is focusing on any particular guru or mentorship program. I want you to really take today, Sunday, December 15th, 2024, to focus on you. And with that being the case, I was going through and reading from one of my favorite authors, James Allen. So some of you might be familiar with James Allen. He's the author of a book that was written in the late 1800s, early 1900s. It was As a Man Thinketh. And I was going through a new book, and it's not new, it's new to me, but this book is a classic. And it's speaking about principles of conquering your inner world. Ultimately, we look at life, and life is a mirror. The sort of relationships I have, the amount of money I'm making, the circumstances that are going on everywhere, it's a reflection of what's going on in my inner world, and it's a mirror. And why do I say it's a mirror? Well, how do you get a smile in a mirror? You have to first give it. How do you get eye contact in a mirror? You have to first give it. And so the mirror can only ever give back to you what you first give it. It can never, like, if you're frowning, you will never get a smile back from the mirror. If your eye is closed, you'll never see an open eye in the mirror. If you're wearing a blue shirt, you will never see a red shirt in the mirror. It will only ever reflect what you first give it. And your life is similar in that fashion. Your life is only ever going to give back to you in relationships, in opportunities, in circumstance, in results, what you are internally. Okay, so your outer world is a reflection of the inner world. And so for this purpose, for the sake, I want to actually go through some of the notes that I was taking as I was reading. I have 2 pages of notes, and this afternoon we're going to be going through these notes, talking about it, sharing it. And what I would love for you guys to do is, as something's resonating with you, as you're getting value, do me a favor and just drop it in the chat. Let me just see what that says. Amar Elhamaway says, perfect timing, going on a drive right now. And I saw the notification. Love that, Amar. If you saw the notification, that means you've got your notifications turned on and you're subscribed. So absolutely love that. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into this. Hopefully I'll be able to give you some value while you drive. And so the first note that I wrote down is funny because it's a theme I've been talking about on my last few podcasts, which is that darkness is a part of nature. And it's something that's meant to be passed through, not avoided. And I mentioned, if you guys were here 2 weeks ago on the Think Big podcast, on that Tuesday night, I talked about life and business being like the seasons, because you can't change the seasons, but you can change yourself. And what do I mean life and business are like the seasons? Well, I mentioned that in life, you have four seasons. You have winter, spring, summer, and fall. And you may be somebody like me who I love the summer and I love the springtime. I love sunshine. I love warm weather. I love being able to go outside. And I would spend all my year in some and spring, or if I could, some in spring if I could. But the reality is, wintertime is a part of life. And I can't get rid of winter by simply ignoring it. I can't get rid of winter by going to my calendar and ripping January and February off the calendar. Like, it doesn't work that way. So instead of trying to avoid and run away from winter, I learned to deal with it. I learned how to work through the winters. And so darkness in life is the same thing. I can't avoid darkness in life. It's a part of life. In fact, when light is created, shadows are cast. Darkness actually is a result of light. So in order for there couldn't be darkness if there weren't light. It has to be a comparison. Everything has its equal and opposite. And so a lot of times people find themselves into dark seasons of life. Whether a dark season of life means you just got out of a bad relationship, dark season of life is your family life isn't where you want it to be, you're financially not earning what you want, maybe spiritually you felt disconnected, you've disconnected from a spiritual body and a spiritual practice, maybe physically you're out of shape and you're beginning to feel and see the repercussion of not taking care of your physical body, and whatever it is, you find yourself in a dark season of life. Well, here's the thing: that dark season of life is there to test you. It's there as a teacher. It's your personal teacher. It's your personal guru. It's your personal Mr. Miyagi working on getting you better. And so it's something that you're meant to pass through in order that you can step into the light on the other side. And I want you to start looking at your dark season as a test, one that you humbly accept, not one to be avoided and one to shut down and complain about. And so this is something that I personally have been challenging myself to do is, as I'm check this out, as I'm finding myself in hard times while the hard times are happening, I I mentally take control. I grab hold of the reins of my mind and I start to remind myself, okay, this too is a test. And what is the lesson? What's the value that I'm meant to grab here? And so let's keep going. Actually, funny enough, I'll share this simple story. Actually, Monday, I flew back in. I'm sorry, Thursday, I flew back into Arizona from Florida. And while I was on my flight, I had accidentally dropped my AirPods and somebody next to me picked them up. I didn't realize because they also thought they dropped their AirPods. They picked it up thinking it was theirs. And I didn't realize until after I got off the plane and after I left the terminal that they had my AirPods and I couldn't get back beyond TSA to go get it. And I was finding myself getting upset. I was finding myself being pissed off. I just bought these AirPods. It's $200. It's inconvenient. I got to figure like it's just all the things. And as I'm getting emotional about this situation and I'm getting frustrated about the situation, I start reminding myself that it's just material. It's nothing important. It's nothing that can't be replaced. It's transient. And yet I've developed such an attachment to it. And in that moment, I recognize this is a test to see, are you somebody who is only able to function positively when things are going well? Because here's the reality, guys. Anybody can be happy when things are going good. Anybody can be a positive thinker when things are going good. It's easy to be positive when you have money in the bank. It's easy to be positive when you're at full health and your kids are listening to you. It's easy to be positive when your husband or your wife comes home and surprises you with dinner and a clean house. It's easy to be positive when the deal closes. Anybody can be positive during those times. But what about when things aren't going your way? What about when you've got to get up and go to work and you're already running late and you get out to your car and you find out your battery's dead and you have a flat tire? Can you still be positive then? What about when your best friend made a promise to you and you really needed them to come through and you ask them like, hey, can you do this? Like, it's okay if you can't, but I need to know. And they say yes. And they reassure you that they can. And then when it comes time for them to show up, they don't show up. Can you still be positive? Can you still love on them in that situation? And so these dark times, these circumstances, they are tests for you to see, can you still operate at your highest self? Because if you're a person of faith, right? And today's Sunday, so let's talk about this. If you're a person of faith, if you're a person that believes in God, If you're a person that believes that your God is a loving God, that he's almighty, all powerful God, do you want a God that says, hey, I only love you when I'm feeling up to it? Or do you want a God that says, I love you no matter what? And if you're a person of faith, the idea is you're wanting to be more God-like in your nature, right? Like, isn't that the entire thing with any faith? Is it's always this moving closer to oneness with God, moving closer to our higher selves, becoming the best version of us? Isn't that what it's all about? So do you only want to be the best version of you when all things, all cylinders are firing on 100%, when all your circumstances are well? Or do you want to be the best version of yourself 24/7? That's the challenge. And so the darkness, the dark times of life, the winters, they present you with the opportunities to prove to yourself, to demonstrate your faith, to demonstrate your strength, to demonstrate your power. And it's an inner power, it's an inner strength. It's not a circumstantial power, it's not an external power, it's an inner one. Let's keep going. I wrote down next that you are what you are, so is your world. And so I mentioned this a little while earlier, that your world is what you are. What you are is your world. Let me explain. Sometimes it's so easy to see visually what's going on externally because we have these five senses: see, smell, taste, touch, and hear. I got my eyes, my ears, my mouth, nose, and hands. And so I interact with the world as such through my physical being. However, I forget about this internal world because I haven't developed my inner senses. And that's okay. Let me show you how to take a look at your inner world. Look at your outer world. Your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. I'm going to dive into this more later on, but let's talk about it now. I'm going to repeat myself on several topics, but I'm going to say them in different ways. If you find that people around you are always angry, something's going on with you. You're carrying anger with you. If you find that people are always lying to you, something's going on with you. You're lying. If you're finding that people are always showing up late, they're never on time. If you're finding, like, what you find in your world is simply what's going on inside of you. I have this thing where I'm just going to tell you guys, I don't lock my car doors ever. Like, I never lock my car door. In fact, 80% of the time, not only is my car door unlocked, my keys are also in my car. I do this at home. I do this in public. I'll go to the grocery store. Hell, there are times I leave my car running with the keys in it as I'm inside the grocery. I'm being so serious. Now, I know some of you are thinking, Marlon, you're an idiot. I get it. That's your opinion, and your opinion is probably correct. I do dumb things. The reality is, I've never had a car stolen, ever. Now, I have had my car broken into once. That happened. But I've never had my car stolen. Why? Here's my opinion. I don't expect my car to be stolen. I don't expect to be robbed. I don't expect for me to come back, and like I trust, because it's something I would never do. I would never go and steal someone else's car. So I walk around. I'm protected by this nature of who I am. However, I know people who lock everything up, and their cars have been taken multiple times. And we're in the same neighborhoods. We are in the same neighborhoods, in the same places. Their cars are no nicer. They're average run-of-the-mill cars, but they are so worried and concerned about it. They fester their minds on these thoughts. Or they themselves in the past were like, yo, when I was a kid, though, I mean, I would have taken it, right? Like, I would have had, that would have been a quick come up. That's the way they think. Like, yo, but if I saw a car with the keys in it, I would have taken. And I'm like, well, that's why your car keeps getting taken, because you expect that, because it's something that you would do if you saw that opportunity. Like, it never crossed my mind that I would go and steal another person's car, that I would go and take their things. And so you get in your world what you are, and your world is a reflection of who you are. So what you are, so is your world. Your world is who you are. If you're struggling to figure out who you've been internally, the sort of thoughts that's been fostering, start to look at your circumstance, not as a, this is permanently where I'm stuck, but this is who I've been up until this point in time. Okay. Now, I love reading the chat. I love seeing what you guys are dropping. So BS Gaming says, you can't, I don't expect the world. That's the, it won't happen to me mentality. I love that, right? I don't expect it, so it doesn't happen to me. What's up, Arnolfo? Good to see you here, brother. And then Penny says, what's Penny say? Where do you live soil? Where do you live so I can borrow your car? That's funny. Penny, come on out to Arizona. My car is like straight up. When I have friends over in my house, I let people stay at my house all the time. And I tell them, like, hey, like, if you ever need, like, you can take my car and the keys are in it. Right. Like, it's that's how I live. It's because I want to live with abundance. I live the sort of world I want. Does that make sense? I live in the sort of world that I want. I am this type of person that if I ran into another person like me in that sense, I would be happy. I'd be happy. So let's keep going here. Um, the world is a reflection of you and your awareness. Okay, let's talk about this for a second. So this is similar, but let's dive a little bit deeper. The world is a reflection of you and your level of awareness. And so this means, and think about this from a standpoint of a way that you understand. If you've ever read a book, for example, you may have read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. You may have read The Richest Man of Babylon. You may read the Bible. You may read The Go Giver, whatever book it is, Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And the first time you read some of these books, you may say, this doesn't quite make sense to me. It goes a little bit over my head. Whatever it is. But you come back and you have some life experiences and you grow as a person and you come back and you reread the same books maybe a month or two later and you start seeing in the book new information. Now let me ask you, did the author come and take your copy of the book and start to add things in those 2 months? Of course not. It's the same book, it's the same words, it's the same information. However, your perception of the book changes, it evolves as your level of awareness rises. And so in the world, you only are ever able to comprehend based on your level of awareness. You actually only can see up to your level of awareness. And my favorite way of putting this for you that might make sense, let's imagine that you and I, we go to New York City together and let's say we go to the Empire State Building. And so we're standing at the base floor of the Empire State Building. Picture this. You and I are standing together side by side. And I say, I want you to look north. So you and I are both standing and we're looking north. And directly north at the ground floor of the Empire State Building is simply another building in front of us. You don't see much. I don't see much. But then you go inside the building, you go up to the fifth floor. You ring me on the telephone. I'm still downstairs on the ground level. And you say, look north. And I look north and you look north. And you're able to see a little bit more. I'm still like, hey, I only see a brick wall. And you're like, man, you don't see the people walking on the street and you don't see the cars going by. I'm like, no, I just see a brick wall, maybe about 3 people who keep passing in my line of sight. Then you continue to take the elevator up and up and up. And now eventually you're on the top floor. You're hanging on the balcony and you're like, wow, you don't see the harbor. You don't see the park. You don't see the birds. You don't see the planes. And we're both looking in the exact same direction. We're almost in the exact same location, right? Like, because if I were looking up from down, it would look like if you were looking at Find My iPhone, it would look like we were at the exact same spot, but you're at a higher vantage point. You're at a higher elevation. You're at a higher energy. And so you see more. Your awareness, your capability to perceive what's going on is so much greater. And that's what begins to happen in life. The more you start to level up your awareness, the more you start to level up who you are as an individual, it's like taking the elevator up, but staying in the same location. Your ability to see more rises. And so you can only ever see, right, your world based on your level of awareness. And so the game here, the the beauty here is to raise your level of awareness. It's to go deep, not wide, to go deep. Because the deeper that awareness, the more you're going to recognize and understand inside of any given situation, any domain. And so I love that your world is a reflection of your awareness. And if you find again that like this is why you could put opportunity inside of a person's hands and they still won't do anything with it, because even though it's the perfect opportunity, their level of awareness might be too low for them to actually capitalize on. And this may be you, right? And not in a negative way. You may have been handed the keys to the kingdom already. But because of your awareness, you're not able to unlock the door. You bought the course, you've read the book, you have access to the network, you've got the software, but you're still not producing the results, and you're trying to figure out why that is. Why I've been spending 2 years on getting my real estate business off the ground. I've been spending 5 years on getting my drop shipping business off the ground. Like, what's going on? Why is it not working for me? I'm looking in the same direction as everybody else. I'm doing all the same things. Yeah, but are you doing it from the same level of awareness? The answer is no. How do I know? The results. The results don't lie. Right? It's kind of like I've been playing pickleball a lot recently, and we have a saying that the ball doesn't lie. Like if the ball is out, the ball is out. The ball isn't personal. It doesn't get personal about it. It's a very impersonal thing. If the ball's outside of the line, it doesn't lie. It doesn't lie. And so your results, they don't lie. There's a great book called the Bible, and in it, there's a scripture that says, I'm going to paraphrase it. It basically says, judge a tree on the fruit that it bears, not on the fruit that it wants to bear. Right. So I judge an apple tree. I know it's an apple tree because it produces apples. An orange tree produces oranges. My orange tree in my backyard is never going to produce apples for me. For you, you want to start looking at, hey, the results you're getting in your life, they're coming based on you as a seed. Now, the beauty about you and the difference between you and an apple tree is an apple tree, an apple seed can only ever be an apple seed. You as a human, you with a conscious awareness, you with a mind, a functioning mind, a beautiful functioning mind, you have the ability to change the thoughts you hold. And your thoughts are seeds. Your thoughts are seeds that produce fruit. You live in a thought universe. The results that you create, your circumstances come as a result of thoughts. It's important, it's imperative that you understand this truth, this fundamental truth of reality. This is why Jesus told you, seek first the kingdom of God. This is why the Bible tells you, seek first the kingdom of God. And if you ask, well, where is the kingdom? It tells you the kingdom is found within. It's your inner world, right? Like the Bible has been trying to teach this to you. Buddha has been trying to teach this to you. Krishna has been trying to teach this to you. All the wise men and women who have come in the past, Gandhi has been trying to teach this to us. Nelson Mandela, all are attempting to teach humanity these fundamental lessons, myself included. I'm working on these lessons daily, and I'm sharing these lessons as I go. And this is why I'm loving that we're hanging out inside here today talking about this. So let's keep going, because I literally have only hit on 3 bullet points of this. By the way, if you're getting value from this, do me a favor, share this YouTube link out. Make sure you hit the like button while you're inside here and keep commenting as there's more interaction on this video. YouTube is, I mentioned this yesterday, that YouTube starts to find more like-minded people, and it will bring them, the algorithm will start to bring them to these sort of videos. And if people are out there searching for this knowledge, like I was years ago, like some of you are, I want to make sure that they're able to come to it. I'm not the best in the world as of today at presenting this information. However, I will be. I absolutely will be, because this is what I'm passionate about. And I feel that this is a part of my purpose here. My purpose here is to help enlighten and to help raise humanity's vibration, help raise humanity's frequency. And it's by raising my own, and it's doing work that can truly be useful and serve in service to others. And this is how I can be of service to you guys. Yeah, I get that everybody doesn't have the time or the desire to sit down and read the books that I read. I mean, I'm working on reading 1 to 2 books a week, and then taking the information, synthesizing it inside of me, and then being able to share it with y'all. So let's keep going here. Penny, I love it. Penny says, I love that. And then BS Gaming says, got a sub from me. BS, I appreciate you so much. And so I'm just going to read some of the comments here too. And actually, I'll even pop some of them up here. Amar says, this is the part of the Rocky cutscene, bro. This is part of my Rocky cutscene. I love that. Right inside the movies, these sort of moments, they like, this is the montage moment, but like here it is. Like we're doing the thing, and fall in love with the process. I'm in love with this process. I'm in love with being able to do this and be here with you guys today. BS Gaming says, Marlon, my saying I made is, I may never be ready, but I'm always willing. Stay in that ready position as always, big bro. Yo, that's so fire. I love that. I absolutely love that. Oh, it's not Penny, it's Panny. Okay. Panny. Oh, Pansy Sleep. I'm sorry. So, Pansy Sleep, my apologies. What's happening is I've got you guys on my like teleprompter monitor, and my teleprompter monitor is like this big and probably like 6 feet away from me. So that's why you guys see me like squinting to even be able to read the comments. So I apologize about that. Pansy Sleep. And if that's what's your real name? Is it Pansy? Because it looks like Pansy to me from where I'm at. But I will absolutely stop calling you Penny. I apologize about that. So let's keep going here. Okay. Um, Next we got every soul attracts its own. Your inner thought life is you. Okay, this is beautiful. Every soul attracts its own. I'm going to give some foundational knowledge and a bit of understanding here. We exist on, and it's funny, I came from church and they talked about this in church this morning, and I was reading this last night. And you start to see how, as your awareness goes, more and more of this information is congruent with each other. The truth is truth, regardless of where you get it. And so here's truth. Humans, we exist on three planes of existence all at the same times, right? A trifecta of existence. You've got the physical, the intellectual, and the spiritual. This is how it looks. You and I, we are spiritual beings. We have an intellect and we live inside of physical bodies. Mind, body, and spirit. Mind, body, and soul. However, whichever words you want to use. And so what's fascinating about that is, if you think about that, a human is a spiritual being, they have an intellect, and they live in a physical body. I'm Christian. I read the Bible. I believe in Jesus Christ. And when I read scripture, what I discovered was I was obeying a God who is on three planes of existence: the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Right? The Father is the Spirit, the Son was in the physical, and then the Holy Ghost came in the form of this intellect that's a part of us on three planes of existence all throughout. Isn't it funny that we are on three planes of existence and the God of heaven and earth is on three planes of existence? Interesting. And so a lot of times we focus on the lowest plane, the physical, where there's the highest plane from which all things flow, the spiritual. And so if we want to affect the physical, we need to be focusing on the spiritual aspect, not to ignore it. The physical is still important, and you actually want all three to work in alignment. However, it says every soul attracts its own. And so when I'm just working on the physical plane, I'm not attracting, right? Because how many people do you know who are so damn hardworking, but they still just seem to never get ahead? They are so, like, they work their butts off. But then when you sit down and have a conversation with them, you find out that they don't believe it's going to happen for them. They don't trust it's going to happen for them. They don't have faith that it's going to happen for them. And the way they view themselves is, this is where I'm always going to be. This is my position in life. And you start to find that their results are in alignment with the viewpoint that they hold. And so it's on this spiritual and intellectual, it's on these higher realms, these higher planes of reality, that the physical is matching up. The physical is a confirmation of what's happening on the spiritual and the intellectual. And so James Allen teaches that every soul attracts to it its own, that your inner thought life is you. Not the words that you speak out and tell everyone else, not what you're trying to impress upon everyone else, not what your Instagram shows about your life, not what your Facebook captions show or your Twitter captions show. But what about the inner conversation that's truly going on that only you know about? The secrets, the secret conversation that only you are aware of. Well, it's not really only you. It's only you and the creator of the universe. Like, there's a higher intelligence that's also aware of it, because that higher intelligence is listening and it's delivering to you based on that inner conversation. So what is that conversation that's going on? Like, I won't be aware of it, not unless you ever tell me. But here's the funny thing. I am aware of your inner conversation, and here's how: by the results in your life. When I take a look at your life, it gives me an idea. It gives me a sense of what your inner conversation has been up until now. How do I know? Because when I look at the results in my life, it gives me an idea of the inner conversation that's been going on in my life up until now. So every soul, not my soul, not just Marlon's soul, not just Arnolfo's soul, right? Not just Pansy's soul, every soul, every single soul attracts to it its own. And so your inner thoughts, that's your life. Watch your inner thought, curate your inner thought, catch it. Now, I'm going to give a personal suggestion because I know it can be challenging, especially when you start to have runaway thoughts like I was having on Thursday after I lost my AirPods, and I was finding myself just getting upset and getting a little pissed off and getting irritated with the TSA folks for why won't you guys just let me back in? Why is no one like I was getting upset, and I realized like, okay, Marlon, catch yourself, breathe. How do you want this conversation to go? Who do you want to be? And you start asking yourself questions. See, the way to control a conversation, whether it's with another person or whether it's with yourself, is the use of questions. When you begin to ask questions, you begin to direct and guide thoughts. It's like herding. You're herding animals. You're starting to herd your thoughts in the direction of which you want to go. Get good at asking yourself these questions of how do I want to respond? Or if you believe in a higher faith, like if you believe in God or you believe in Jesus, right? There's an amazing question that Christians came up with. And quite frankly, everyone uses it. The WWJD, what would Jesus do? Why is that such a great question? Because when you start to ask that question, you're able to guide your mental thinking to a position from a higher awareness than your current level of pain. It was Einstein who said that the current level of thinking that creates a problem isn't the same level of thinking that solves the problem. And in order to solve the problem, you have to rise above the level of thinking that creates it. And so when you say something like, what would Jesus do? What would Einstein do? What would my mentor do? What would my pastor do? What would my coach do? What would Oprah Winfrey do? What would Elon Musk do? Whoever it is you want to put inside there of the WW, whoever's name do. When you start to ask, what you're doing is you're exercising a mental faculty known as perception, and you're changing your wow, that's funny. You're changing your perspective, and you are now operating from a different level of awareness. In fact, this works so well that inside of a psychiatric ward, it was in the early 1900s. They had patients who were suffering with different mental illnesses who had come into these wards because they weren't fit to stay by themselves. They would hurt themselves and harm themselves. And what the doctors discovered as a treatment to heal them, to permanently heal them, they started asking these people were crazy. Like these are like people you put in straitjackets. They started asking them the simple question: hey, what would a normal person, a normal, healthy person do in this moment? And the people would stop and start thinking, well, a normal, healthy person wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. Yeah, we understand that. So, what do you think a normal, healthy person would do in this moment? And they would start to give these answers about what a normal person would do, what a normal person would say, how a normal person would behave. And they started to, because they were moving their mind into that realm of awareness, guess what started to happen? Their behaviors, their thoughts, their words all began to change and shift. They started to act as the normal people whose they were now getting into that person's perspective. Okay. So it's so powerful that you understand your inner thoughts. They are your life. They create your life. And a soul attracts to it its very own. Soul only will attract to it what it is. Now, the next thing I have written down is we can see your thoughts. They are your life, which is effectively the same thing here. So I'm going to move on from this. The circumstances only affect you as much as you allow them. Circumstances only affect you as much as you allow. This is a tough pill to swallow for some folks. If you've been holding on to any level of resentment, anger, it's what's so interesting is, again, I'm going to use the story from Thursday of getting off that airplane, and I was so frustrated that my AirPods were gone. Like, guys, I use my AirPods every single day. Like, that is something, It allows me to work. It allows me to I have noise cancellation. It lets me turn anywhere in the world into a focused work office because I can go and sit in a Starbucks and boom, I'm in silence and I can just lose myself in projects. And so I love them. I love them, love them, love them. And I just bought them and it hurt. It sucked that it was gone. But at the end of the day, it's just a $200 pair of headphones. And yes, guys, I'm not saying $200 isn't a lot of money. $200, I still think 200 bucks is a lot of money, guys. Right? Like I make a lot more money than that. I still think $200 is a lot of money, plus the inconvenience and all that stuff. However, did it need to ruin my day? Did it need to bother me? I let it bother me for all of 20 minutes. So much to the point that when I got home and I saw Caroline, and Caroline was so excited to see me, she said, "Oh, you're home. I'm so happy." And she wanted to come over and give me a hug. And I was still a little pouty, if I'm being honest. Why did I ruin a beautiful interaction getting to see my best friend over AirPods? And meanwhile, somebody else, let's say, it was, I don't know, let's say it was somebody who had 12 AirPods, they lost one, they wouldn't care. And so it's the same situation, but each person is going to respond to it differently. Problems only affect you as much as you will allow them to. Challenges will only hurt you as much as you allow them to. What other people say and think about you, a person rejecting you is only going to hurt you as much as you allow it to. I remember when I first started wholesaling real estate, I was cold calling. I was doing this about 6 to 8 hours per day, 6 days a week. On occasion, I would call on Sundays. And when I first got started in that business, I was, uh, let me give you, let's frame this. It's January of 2020 is when I'm starting to really make calls on the phone. If you guys are aware of that timeline, you know that the pandemic shut the world down. I lived in New York back then. New York was one of those states that everything went total shutdown. People were not leaving their homes. People weren't doing anything. And here it is. I'm picking up the phones for the first time in this new industry, calling strangers saying, "Hey, do you want to sell your house?" I'm asking people to sell their house in New York State in the middle of a global pandemic where people are literally living on lockdown. Do you think people were excited to get my phone call? They were so dang pissed off. I mean, they were cussing me out, yelling at me. How dare you? What type of monster would try to kick a person out of their home? I'm taking it all personal. Those early days, I mean, I was taking it personal so much to the point that I remembered one day being in my mom's dining room making these calls. Some woman she just leaned into me. I mean, she just cursed me out so bad. I mean, I don't think anyone deserved to get yelled at the way I got yelled at that day. And I remembered hanging up the phone and tears were coming to my eyes. Total strangers cursing me out. I go into the kitchen and I ask my mom, "Am I a bad person?" Now, this isn't like a 16-year-old boy to 18. I'm 26, 27 years old going into my mom's kitchen saying, "Mom, am I a bad person?" Why? Why am I asking that question? Because I took it personal. And I started to allow this stranger's words to affect me so deeply that it brought me to tears, tears of sorrow, of shame, of guilt. And then, you know what happened? As I kept going on, I stopped taking the rejection so personal. I started to realize when they were yelling at me, in fact, it had nothing to do with me, that it was something more about what was going on with them and their situation. And so now these same situations, these same circumstances that used to affect me so much were no longer affecting me. And I started to realize that no circumstance actually has the power to affect me. Only I do. Nobody has the ability to make you feel a certain way. When you say, "That person made me so mad," that's not true. Nobody can make you mad. The same way, "Oh my gosh, I just love her so much. She makes me so happy. I just love him so much. He makes me so happy." That's not true either. She can't make you happy. He can't make you happy. No, nobody can make you happy. Nobody can make you mad. Nobody can make you sad. All of that stuff, that's an inside job. Nobody else could do that for you. That's on you. And so when you start to recognize and understand this, This is the beginning of self mastery. This is the beginning of taking back control. This is where you want to focus. In 2025, it's not about, here's the reality. Your primary focus isn't about going out and making more money first. It isn't about going out and building the greatest business first. It isn't about any of those things. It's self mastery. It's coming back and making yourself the best version of yourself because here's what you're here for. You're here to be in service of others. And in order to serve others, you need to be a role model. And in order to be a role model, you need to first work on and become the change that you want to create. And so when you look at a person that you want to help, think about this. If you're raising kids, you're building a team, you're wanting to help out people in your life. Do you want them to be people who are swayed by everybody else's decisions and swayed by whether or not the crowd likes them? And the only way they get fulfillment is if everyone else gives them the claps of approval. But if the claps of approval don't come that day, they don't feel worthy. Or do you want them to be people who are, no matter what, they are virtuous, they are worthy, they live in integrity, and it's all coming from within. They are self-sustained and self-fulfilled. The answer is pretty obvious. And so in order to get those sort of people and to influence that level of change and impact within them, you first got to start to do it for yourself internally. And now you get to be an example. People get to come and see, wow, look at how Deborah holds herself no matter what's going on. Look at how Amar walks around and he's proud to be Amar Elhamaway. He's proud to be that man. Arnolfo is proud to be that man. That's how we start to impact change. So understand, we don't let our circumstances affect us. Okay, let's keep going here. You guys getting value from this? Is this good? Good to see you here, Deborah. Happy you were able to come on. And I know people are if you guys have friends who went on IG, let them know. We're on YouTube. You guys, I'm hoping you guys like the YouTube a little bit more as well. I personally like being up here. It's fun. The only thing I wish I grabbed some water so I don't run out of like, I'm just getting thirsty up here is effectively what I'm saying. Might need to text my roommate and say, hey, can you bring some water up for me? Okay, let's keep going. Ooh, this is a powerful, powerful lesson. Good or bad, good and bad. Good and bad are only by man's experience. So there is no, I remembered I had this lesson, this wake up call when I was about 24 years old. I had this realization that there is no such thing as good or bad. Let me explain. Good or bad objectively doesn't exist because something is good or bad. It's a reference to something else. So, humans, we make up this whole thing of good and bad. We make this up because I can say, I lost my job, right? And you might say, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that that happened to you. What a bad event. What a bad occurrence." And I say, "Bad? No, because I lost my job, I was able to, I found myself sitting at a Starbucks on a Tuesday afternoon, and that Tuesday afternoon, Deborah walked in, and as a result, Deborah and I connected, and Deborah is actually working on this project, and she brought me on as COO. Wow, it's such a great thing that you lost your job. Well, which is it? Is it good or is it bad? The answer is it depends on who's asking. It depends on who's looking at it. And so we have the ability to make everything good. You have the ability to make everything good because it's what you do with it. Nothing is good or bad. It's what you do with the situation. It's what you do with the circumstance. This is mental transmutation. I want you to think about the worst challenge that you've been dealing with in your life right now. It could be that you're taking care of a sick parent. It could be that you are tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. It could be that you are struggling with a relationship, a health condition, that you've got more month at the end of money. You're behind on your bills and your promises. Think about what's going on in your life. What's that terrible situation that's just so damn bad? What is it? I'm going to challenge you to look at that situation and to ask, what's the good in this situation? What is positive in this situation right now, in this moment? And if you're struggling to figure it out, I'm going to give you an exercise to do to help make this easier. Later on, not right now, but later on, go find some quiet time for yourself. Find an hour, 2 hours where you can go and disconnect from everybody and everything. Maybe it's right before bed. Maybe it's in the morning when you wake up. Whenever it is, go and find that time to disconnect. Put your phone away. Leave your phone out of the room. Leave your laptop out of the room. Just you. I want just you going into that room by yourself. And I want you to forcefully direct your mind towards something pleasant, to a memory that you love, to a thing that you enjoy, a thought that you truly enjoy, and allow yourself to relax into that peaceful thought, into that peaceful memory, and allow your mind to become calm. And this may happen to you quickly. You may get your mind calm in a few moments. Some of you, you may sit there for an hour and you can't calm your mind down. It's okay. You keep working on that exercise until you calm your mind, until you can make that mind calm. And then when your mind is calm, only then when your mind is calm and you feel yourself at calm, when we all know what it's like to feel calm. Hopefully, we've all at some point gone to like Split Splash and we've been on the lazy river and you're like, this is so calm. When you are at that place of calm, then come back and revisit that question on, so that problem that I've been dealing with, that big old audacious problem, what is the benefit of it? What lesson is in that problem for me to learn? God, universe, spirit, why have you sent that problem? Why have you blessed me with that problem, with that challenge? What is it that you want to teach me? I promise you, I promise you, there's a lesson there. And how do I know? Think about it. You already know this. Think about your favorite person that motivates you and the challenges they overcame. And you're like, you know what? That's right. Oprah Winfrey. Why did Oprah Winfrey have to deal with all of that abuse in her childhood? So that she can connect and she can grow and she can become the woman she is today. Why is it that people had to go through the challenges? It's so that they can connect. Okay? Let's keep going here. The word enthusiasm. So I wrote this note here, and this is something that I'm going to have to do more study and more diving and going into, but we'll do some of that later. I'm not going to do it tonight, but just little note for you. The original word for enthusiasm meant to be in spirit. And you hear people, they talk about like you're supposed to be enthusiastic. And to be enthusiastic is to be filled with spirit. And we see that enthusiasm is one of those characteristics to creating abundance, to creating life changes, to have enthusiasm. I mean, back in the 80s, you would hear people say to be enthusiastic, you got to act enthusiastic, right? And like they would try to get salespeople to embrace enthusiasm. And it's still true. Right now, like you can't just go just jumping around, hooting and hollering all day after the enthusiasm wears down. There's still work that needs to be done. However, think about that. If enthusiasm is to embrace the spirit, to be filled with spirit, it starts to make sense what we're talking about, that your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. Right? Being enthusiastic is filling yourself up with spirit, taking control of spirit. So I just love that. And I would implore you to go research the word enthusiasm. So that's for you. That's some homework there for you. I'm going to research the word enthusiasm and come back and do a whole conversation on it because words have meaning. And it's important that we understand the words we're using when we use them. Okay. So earlier I said that higher minds see more. I get that. Now let's look at this. You're going to expect from others what you do yourself. What do I mean? When you are constantly expecting people to lie to you, to be dishonest, why is that? It's because you have been dishonest with others. You lie to others. When like if you're constantly suspicious of other people, it's because you are doing things in your world where it should be cause for suspicion from others. We expect in others the sort of behaviors that we are okay performing. things that we do. It's interesting. I'm very trusting. I'm an extremely trusting person. Like, you don't have to earn my trust. What you have to do is you have to keep my trust because you get it off the bat. Why? Because when I meet a total stranger, I'm just going to be honest with you from the jump. Like, that's just the way I operate. It's the way I live. It's who I am. It's a part of my identity. So, because I am naturally just trusting and I'm naturally honest, it is my assumption, it's my bias, my preconceived bias, that you are also going to be the same way. Now, I'm not a fool. I am aware that some people can lie. However, I'm going to let them show me that that's who they are first. Honestly, truly, because you only get to show that to me once, and then we are going to separate. I'll still love you. I will always love you. I just may not choose to spend time with you. Okay. And so, with that being the case, why is it that I can be so trusting and trust that people are going to be trusting towards me? It's because it's who I am. When you start to analyze what are the ways I meet people, for example, I take a lot of Ubers. I Uber to the airport all the time. And because I just never park my car, I'm not, interested in paying a couple $100 to park my car for 2 days. And I am constantly Ubering back and forth to my airport, 30-minute rides. And most of the time, I would say 70% of the time, I'm talking to my Uber drivers, just getting to know them. And what I find is super interesting. There are times where I will control the conversation and the theme, and I will set it because I want to talk about something positive and I want to enrich them. And there are times where I'm just curious to see where they are. And so I will trigger them with a question, and then I will stop and listen and just absorb and see where they're coming from. And what's so funny is sometimes I will find these Uber drivers and they are so much in the mindset of, man, these people are just, they're trying to screw you over. Nobody can get ahead. This and that. Like, the way they view the world is so interesting. It's fascinating to me. And they view the world as, these politicians are all crooks and most people are out to get you. And I'm like, yeah, well, that you saying that, it shares with me a little bit about the way you may have been a little bit throughout your life. It shares with me your level of awareness. How you view the world is based on your level of awareness. If everybody in the world is a liar, what's that mean about you? If everybody in the world is kind, what's that mean about you? A question I ask my clients when people come on with me. So, like, I have 6-figure, 7-figure, 8-figure, and 9-figure entrepreneurs. Well, not nine. I don't have any 9-figure entrepreneurs working with me right now. But I have 6, 7, and 8-figure entrepreneurs working with me that I do coaching for. And one of the questions I ask them when I'm onboarding them is, what are 3 of your fundamental beliefs about the world? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, yeah, what are your, like, it's that broad of a question. Tell me 3 fundamental beliefs you have about the world. And what's interesting is my clients who have the most material success in the world are also holistic success, whereas they are comfortable with who they are, they have good relationships, they have good health, and they are happy enjoying the process of life. They oftentimes will tell me something along the lines of, something I believe is everybody is inherently good. They say that to me. Like, I don't suggest that, and all of them, I mean, like, I can go through the answers. In fact, I'll do this one day, statistically look at how many, like, the percentage of my clients that answer with something along the lines of, I believe most people are good. Like, that's their belief about the world, that people are good, people are kind, people are wanting to be of service and be of use to others, that deep down, that's what they actually want. And then every now and then I'll get someone that says something that's in the complete opposite, like people are just only looking out for themselves. Well, if you believe that people are only looking out for themselves, what's that say about you? What's that say about you? Right? I love that. Pansy says, I'm the one Uber driver that's usually sharing my mindset. I love that. I love that. And then BS Gaming says, I love talking with my Uber driver. I'm going to put it up on the screen for you guys to see. I love talking with my Uber drivers. Should be its own podcast with the stories and gems you can get. It's so you get some interesting people. All right. So let's keep going here. Um, wow, guys, what's so fascinating is I have a list, like we're going through like my list of notes here, and we have just made it to the halfway mark on the first page of 2 pages. based on the fact that I came up here with no water, I don't know if we're going to go through all 2 pages. However, I am happy to keep sharing if you guys are getting value from this. If you are getting value and it's your first time on the YouTube channel, do me a favor. There's a little thumbs up button. Hit that thumbs up button. The reason I ask you to do that is it's very simple. I'm super transparent about this. This year, we're focused on growing the YouTube channel. And when the algorithm sees that interaction, the thumbs up, when it sees that you subscribe, that you have all notification turns on along with the subscription, and that you're commenting, the algorithm says, wow, Pansy really likes this, or BS Gaming likes this. And we're going to go and find more profiles that have the same viewing habits as y'all to bring them over to this content. So I want to spread this sort of message. I know on the internet, there's a lot of crazy stuff on the internet, guys. Like my Instagram algorithm, quite frankly, every now and then I'm in love with it. And then every now and then it starts trying to tempt me and showing me things that, quite frankly, I don't want to be seeing. And I will have to, and it's funny, like mentally, I don't want to be seeing it. My flesh absolutely wants to see it. And I have to go and be careful about curating and deleting certain things and making sure I'm only liking other things in order that the algorithm shows me things that are going to grow me, things that are going to help me be the best version of me, things that are going to help and assist in self mastery. And so when you guys engage with this content and you guys engage with it in that way, you're helping your algorithm get better. And then you're also helping somebody else's algorithm get better because we're going to pop up on their suggestion. So, and I already know you guys are doing it because I just watched more people come on simply because some of you clicked the like button just now. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. Arnett says your school membership is still pending for the last 3 days. Oh my gosh, I got you, bro. We will get you inside that school today, I promise. In fact, there'll be some fun changes coming up here in the future. I'll talk about that more inside the school, but I got you. I will personally go inside and approve you for school. Now, let's keep going here. The world is a mirror. I mentioned that before, that your world is a reflection. And I'm going to say this one more time. We're not going to stay on this for more than 1 minute. But why is the world a mirror? Because a mirror can only ever reflect what is actually there. It's so important that AI, you can augment a photo and you can show something that's not actually there. A mirror cannot do that. A mirror reflects what is being shown to it. Your world reflects what is inside of you. It will never reflect anything other than that. That's law. And so that takes me to this interesting piece, which is life is bound by laws. Your world is bound by law. And laws cannot be broken. If you try to break laws, all that's going to happen is you will break yourself against them. Laws are considered non-negotiable and they are non-personal. For example, law of gravity. Law of gravity is not a personal law. What do I mean by that? If gravity doesn't say, you know what, I really like Eddie. So Eddie, you're good to go step off the Empire State Building. I'm going to catch you. You're all good. No, if Eddie steps off the Empire State Building, what happens? Splat, he hits the ground. Game over. Right? What if a baby crawls off the edge? Right? The baby doesn't know any better. The baby doesn't understand heights. And the baby crawls off the edge. Does gravity say, oh, well, that baby didn't know yet. He's new around here. Let's give him a redo. Let's teach him and give him. No, because the law is impersonal. You cannot break the law. You can only break yourself against the law. And when we start to understand this, what we do is we start to seek out what are some of the universal laws. And here's a little hint. The great teachers in the past, the Jesuses of the world, the Buddhas of the world, right? These great prophets who have come, they came so that they can teach the laws of the universe, not the laws of man. Because here's the thing, you got to obey both. You got to obey man's law, right? Like I know I can't go speeding down the road. I can't do 75 and a 45 or else I'm going to get a ticket. However, that same road, that's a 45 mile per hour speed limit today, they may decide next year that, you know what, we can actually allow cars to go 55 miles an hour on this road. And so the laws of man will change and fluctuate depending on who's in control. That's cool. The laws of the universe do not change. They have been the same in the past, present, and will be in the future. They are unchanging. They were created by an infinite God. They do not change. So even if you don't understand them, you still want to work in accordance to them. And so some of those laws, for example, the law of sowing and reaping. What a man sows, he will reap. A man will reap what he sows. Put another way, you will never get out of life what you did not first put into it. Said differently, what you get out of life is what you first put in. Everything you're experiencing today and enjoying, recognize you didn't get it today because you sowed today. You got it today because you sowed yesterday. You sowed last week, last month, last year. The job you have, that came as a result of the seeds you sowed 10 years prior to build the skills, to build the confidence, to get the relationships, to get the skill sets. Start to understand some universal laws. Understand that the law of sowing and reaping, it's one of my favorite ones. That's why I'm talking about it so much right now, because it tells me I need to sow better seeds to have a different harvest next season. The law of sowing and reaping also tells me that I I have to be good about planting seeds. I'm a farmer, because here's the interesting thing about a farmer. You want to operate like a farmer. What's that mean? A farmer knows that when he plants a seed, it takes time. A farmer has to have faith. A farmer has to live with faith, which means they plant the seed and then they faithfully show up and continue to water the garden, and they trust that a harvest is coming in the fall. They trust. Here's what it would look like to be a bad farmer. A bad farmer would plant seeds, not have faith, not trust that it's going to come in the fall, and they would every day go out into their yard and go and dig up the seed to see if it's growing. That's what a lot of you do with the things that you say you want, the thoughts and the dreams and the desires that you plant. You go and you keep digging it up. Is it happening though? Is it working? That's not faith. That's not obedience of the law. It's not. You're questioning the law every time you say, is it happening? But is it working? But when's it going to get here? It'll get here when it gets here. It's already on its way. It's already done. The wish has already been fulfilled. It's biblical. Ask and what? You shall receive. Seek and you shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. When you ask for it, it was already given to you. That's the formula. Not ask and then maybe we might give it to you. Ask and you may receive. No, ask and you shall receive. And so when you start to understand this and you start to obey the laws, you now recognize, oh, I can just go and plant the seeds. And what are the seeds? The seeds are your thoughts. The seeds are your actions. The seeds are your behavior. The seed is your inner dialogue, the inner conversation you're having with yourself about it. Internally, do you believe what you say you believe? Do you know what you say you know? And how do we develop that inner belief? How do we develop that inner understanding, that inner faith? It's by coming back. And, there's a story of, I believe it is, I'm gonna mess it up a little bit. So I'm just the fine details of the story aren't important. It's important that you just take away the concept. I believe it's Moses is out in the desert, and some of the followers come to him and they say, Moses, 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 we need water. Moses, we are thirsty. We are in the desert, man. We need water. And can you go to God? You got his ear. Can you go to God and say and ask him to bring the rain for us? And Moses says, okay, I'll do that. Just go dig the ditches. All right. So dig the ditches so we can capture the rain and we have rainwater to drink. So they come back to him, and a few days later they say, Moses, your God has not provided. And Moses looks around and he says, where are the ditches? Right? You're asking for God to provide, and I'm telling you, I'm going to go ask him and he's going to provide, but I don't see any proof of faith. I don't see the ditches, because if you had believed that the water was actually going to come, so it's your little faith. Your faith prevented the rain from coming. Your inner belief prevented it from happening. And so they later go to dig the ditches, and we know what happens. The rains came. So it's our faith that determines, are we being obedient to these laws? It's our actions that determine if we have faith. I like to always ask people, how do you know a person has faith? What's the proof of faith? Here's Marlon's opinion. The proof of faith is found in action. Here's what scripture says. Faith without works is dead. Put another way, if you do the work, but you don't have faith that it's going to work out, it ain't going to work out. You've got to believe. You've got to exercise faith. That inner conversation, that inner knowingness. And let me actually, because you all have faith, let me prove it to you. Oh, I love proving this to you. This is what faith feels like. I want to talk about what it feels like, because we live in a thought universe. We're feeling creatures. We're not just intellectual. So it's like, all right, mom, like what does faith feel like? How do I know when I'm being faithful? Let me explain. Great question, Peter. Let me explain. I'm happy to explain this. Think about the last time you went to a restaurant and your waitress came by and said, "Hey, can I take your order?" And you're at a burger joint and you said, "Yeah, you know what? I want that quarter pounder with cheese, please. And can I also have french fries? I love the house fries." They say, "No problem. Anything else?" And you know what? "Can I get a glass of lemonade? That'd be amazing." And they say, "Coming right up." And so they write your order down. You watch them take it down. She even repeats it back to you. And you say, "Yep, that's it." You have faith when you say, "Oh, I'm going to enjoy this meal." And you get up and maybe you go over and you start preparing your condiments. You get the ketchup ready and the napkins, and you get the salt ready because you like to add a little bit more salt to your fries. And then you demonstrate faith when you go back to casually engaging in conversation with the person that you came to dinner with to have that meal, and you're relaxing and you're engaging in faith when you see your waitress walk by and you're not freaking out saying, "Hey, hey, hey, it's me. Hey, did you get my order though? Do you remember what I ordered? Do you remember? Do I need to tell you again? I'll tell you again. Please, 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 can you bring me a burger with fries?" And that's not what you do. You see her, you wave a little bit, but you, in fact, half the time you ignore them, and you're casually engaged and you're relaxed. You're at peace. You're at ease. That's what faith feels like, because you already know your order has been taken. You already know it's on its way, and you know that it takes time for the order to be delivered to you. The same way the farmer knows that it takes time for the seeds that he planted to blossom into a harvest, to grow. And so your job is to ask for what you want. Your job is to demonstrate faith, and your job is to live with faith until you're holding it in your hands. Whoo, ain't that crazy? Ain't that crazy? Right? Peter says, I love what Peter says. Peter says, another sign of faith. He said, you sit in a chair and you know it won't collapse. Like that, it's a knowingness, it's a trust. Imagine you didn't think the chair, if you didn't think the chair was going to hold you, you would sit down and you'd be scared, and you'd be operating from a place of doubt, from a place of worry. But you don't do that. You sit down with full confidence. Hell, if I said close your eyes and sit down, you would do it. No worries. If I said keep your hands in your pocket when you sit down, you would do it because you trust. You trust that it's going to hold you. You trust that it is there for you. That same level of trust, that same level of faith is required when you start to plant these thoughts, when you start to sow these thoughts, when you start to sow these desires into the world, and you start to create the life that is yours, when you start to step into your assignment, when you start to step into that higher awareness. You want to do it with an aura, a sense of faith. All right, let's keep going here. Ooh, disease, failure, and misfortune are all signs that you are attempting to work against the law. When you have disease, failure, misfortune, doubt, all these things are signs that you are attempting to work against the laws of the universe. When I say the law, I'm talking about the laws of the universe. Where can someone go to learn the laws of the universe? I'm just going to tell you where I went to go find them. Go in scripture. Scripture will show it to you. Go and read books from, you know, go and read some of the doctrines that Buddha put together. Go and read like the books like the Kabbalion. And some people think that these books, what's so interesting, lower level of awareness individuals, and this isn't an insult. It's literally just lower level of awareness. It's like me saying a younger person. I'm not insulting you if I say you are younger, right? Somebody who's 30 and someone is 15, they are younger. So people who are at a lower level of awareness will find that, well, if you are a Christian and you read the Bible, you cannot look at any other book. You can't look at any other doctrine. You can't look at the Kabbalion. You can't look at the Buddhist text. You can't look at the I'm blanking on some of the other books right now. but like the Torah, you can't look at these other books. And that's just silly. See, if your faith is only true and strong, if not compared to anything else, then your faith is not real. If your faith is only working when untested, then your faith is not real. If your faith is strong, it can be tested against anything. Truth is truth, period. Doesn't matter where it's coming from, doesn't matter who said it. Truth is truth, regardless of where it stems. And so when you dive into these things, all this is where you start to learn what these universal laws are. Right? This is Jesus came to teach you universal law. Buddha came to teach you universal law. Right? The Holy Spirit's here to teach you universal law. Gandhi was trying to teach us universal law. Like all these great people throughout history have been attempting to teach us universal law. Beautiful. Obey the law. Now, guys, real quick, again, I got to ask, is this helpful? You guys getting value from this? I still see some people popping onto the Instagram. Yeah, the Instagram is muted still. So if you were, how many of you, just out of curiosity, how many of you were on Instagram, saw my comment and commented YouTube, and that's how you came over to the YouTube channel? Who was on Instagram first and then came over to the YouTube? Right? Good says yes. I'm assuming that means yes, you were on the Instagram before you came over here. Anybody else was on Instagram and then you came over to the YouTube because you saw the post? Yep. I love the name, by the way. Good. So good. Such a good name. Good. All right. So good was the only one. Everyone else, I guess, was just already on the YouTube. Cool. Well, if you're new to the YouTube, do me a favor. Make sure you hit the like button, hit that thumbs up, and hit the subscribe button, and click all notifications so that you see each day when I'm going live. I love this. Let's see. Peter says, great stuff. Not many people understand this stuff unless they were taught. I agree with you. I wish, frankly, that these sort of classes were being taught in school. The reason being is some of you were here yesterday on Instagram Live when I was talking day 14 day 14 of me talking. You heard, or it might have been day 13. I was talking about the 12-step program inside of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. Now, I never struggled with any issues with alcohol or addiction or any of that. However, I appreciate the lessons taught by AA because they create life transformation. And among their 12 lessons, there's a few things that stood out to me. One of which is they tell a person to go and find and connect with a power higher than themselves. They will say, go and find some form of spiritual practice that resonates with you and surrender yourself to it. And I said, isn't that interesting? That they're teaching that in order to get rid of this heinous disease of alcoholism and addiction, that the best way to do it is to transform yourself through the use of a spiritual practice. Like that's your only hope of curing yourself. So interesting. So freaking interesting. So I love that we're coming here, and I wish in schools they would teach a spiritual practice. I'm all about the separated state. I'm about that. But I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about spiritual practice. I'm talking about universal laws. Because the universal laws, they are impersonal. They are not bound by nations. They are not bound by borders. Right? Gravity doesn't stop at New Mexico. Gravity doesn't say, well, I work in America, but not Argentina. Universal laws are universal. They govern all equally. They should be taught in school. Okay, let's keep going, guys. Let's keep going here. All right, a little bit more. And then I am going to have to stop because I need water. I absolutely need water. Eddie, I want you to ask that question again if you can. You ask, how would you hold it in your hands? I need a little bit more context. I'm not sure what you mean by that question. I'm happy to answer it if you have a little bit more context for me. So, yeah, if you could just re-ask your question in a different way, I would love to answer that question. Okay. So, um, look at this. Also, I'm on Instagram. Someone just said no sound. Yes, it's muted. Comment YouTube for the link with sound. Beautiful. All right. Let's keep going here. Check this out. Be patient and understand all experiences are for your teaching. Be patient and understand that all experiences are for your teaching. And so, what's that mean? I kind of started off this live with talking about this idea that darkness isn't something to run from. Instead, it's something to go through. And that there are lessons that happen in the darkness. There are lessons that happen in the winter times of life, the winter seasons of life. And so our job is to, instead of looking at the circumstances, because look, the reality is, as a high performance coach, I sit down and I talk to a lot of people. I host a podcast. I talk to a lot of people. I do sales training. I coach over 1,000 different entrepreneurs. I talk to a lot of people. And a lot of times, this happens more often than you would think. People will talk about the situation they're in, the current situation they're in, and they are just trying to rush through it. And I used to be one of those people trying to rush through. Like, rush through to where? Where are you trying to get to? Don't you realize where you are is where you're supposed to be right now? And there are lessons for you right now. And do you realize that if you ignore those lessons continue to follow you all throughout? You all know, here, it's none of you, right? It's not 13 of you on live with me. The 13 of you, you guys are better than this. But the other people, the others, okay? How many of them do we know that we've seen them get out of a relationship and she's dating that same scumbag guy and she finally breaks up with him and you're like, you go, girl. You end that relationship. And then what does she do? She gets out of that relationship and she starts dating the same scumbag. He just looks different, but it's the same scumbag, same dumb personality traits, same issues, same problems. And she will go from dirtbag to dirtbag to dirtbag, scumbag to scumbag to scumbag, abuse to abuse to abuse. And she's always just running from these relationships into the next bad one. Why? Because she didn't stop to really analyze where she was now. She wasn't patient with the present moment. And I'm not saying this is easy. However, the unfortunate thing is we've been so conditioned to seek out this comfortable zone, this comfortability, that we try to, like, we're a microwave society. We're a fix it with a pill society. We're a I want change, but I don't want to change society. Unfortunately, I want to change that. I want you to take back the power. Because when you want change, but you don't want to change, what you're saying is, I want somebody else to make the change for me. Can you see that? And so the problem is, well, what if nobody else makes that change for you? And the reality is, nobody else can make that change for you. And when we keep looking for our better life inside of somebody else's actions, where does that leave us? Constantly dependent on something that will never be able to satisfy and fulfill us, something that is not even capable of doing that for us. Your creator didn't make you. Here's the interesting thing. Your creator did not make an incomplete product. You were not made incomplete. You were not made to not be capable of handling your own life, of handling your own problems and your own situations. So instead of running away from them, be patient and embrace the challenge, embrace the chapter, embrace the season you're in right now. Be patient and understand that all, not some, all, not most, not all, not three quarters, all of your experiences. Somebody say all with me. All of your experiences are for your teaching, are for your benefit. In fact, where was I last night in scripture? I was reading Matthew. I forget which verse it was, but it was talking, it was Jesus talking to the disciples and Jesus teaching. And it was this reminder that all things, right? Embrace and find joy in all things. Rejoice in all things. Not most things. He said, rejoice in all things because all things come from the Father. Therefore, all things are good. All things are lessons. All things are for your benefit. To not believe so is to lack faith. It's to lack understanding. It's to operate from a lower frequency. I love it. All right, here we go. Here we go. See, Peter, you're the man. I think it was actually, funny enough, I think it was Paul that said this. Count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. Mm, ball. And let's see what Adriana shared. Adriana says, when you change the mentality of just worrying about yourself and just let them, we cannot control others. They have to fix themselves. You let all things. So, guys, you get it. I love it. This right here, when I see comments like that, you know what it tells me? It tells me I'm with the right people right now. It tells me I'm with the right people. Thank you. Thank you for being the right people. Thank you for being here today. Um, Eddie says, and I just want to read this and I'll keep going here. Eddie says, it was back in the video where you were talking about faith and you mentioned us being able to hold faith in our hands. How can we do that? Okay, beautiful. So, how do we hold faith in our hands? Effectively, Eddie, when we're holding faith in our hands, it means we're holding the results of having held on to our faith until it realized itself. For example, I was about to say, like, I was gonna grab my house keys, and then I realized I don't have house keys because I have like an electronic door panel. But the house I'm in right now, this microphone, this microphone, the camera I'm talking to you on, the podcast studio I'm in right now, this is all I'm getting to hold this stuff in my hand. I'm physically able to hold this microphone because of the faith I demonstrated 2 years ago. I I described this house in detail that I wanted, that I was seeking. The roommates that I have in this house, my videographer who now lives with me, the social media marketing guy, I have a professional marketer living with me now. My best friend Caroline, right? Like I live in the house that was a direct seed that I planted in my mind over 2 years ago. And now I'm here holding it in my hands because when I planted that seed of this is what I want my life to look like, I didn't waver. No one can second guess me. No one can make me second guess myself. I didn't waver. I held true. That's what I mean. So, Eddie, hold true. And I get it because there are things in my life that I have planted that I'm not perfect. I'm an imperfect human being. Always have been, always will be. Luckily, I got a God that died for my sins. And so all is forgiven. And in my imperfection, there have been things that I have wavered on. There have been things that I I desired, but I couldn't quite see myself as already having it. Therefore, they have not manifest. I'm not holding those things yet. And then there are things that I'm not holding yet, but I'm already living in alignment with it. Like I'm excited for you all to see my new car next year. Right? It's not in my driveway today. However, it's already mine. I've already thought of the car I'm going to have. I'm excited to see the money for you guys to see, and I get to share with you about how much money I tithe to my church next year. I haven't tithed it today, but I'm already living in that reality. I'm excited for you guys to see the employees that work for me, what sort of income they're able to have as a result of working with me and helping me spread this kind of message. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for all of it. So, Eddie, that's what I mean. So, great question. Thank you for re-asking it. All right, let's keep going here. And we'll start to wrap up here in the next 7 minutes or so. Again, if you're new to the YouTube channel, be sure to hit the like button, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and make sure you turn on the all notifications because we're going live every single day for the month of December. Every single day. Okay. Now, let's keep going. Alter your outlook on life, and the outer world will alter. When you alter your outlook on life, your outer world alters. And what's interesting is I spoke about this briefly the other night when I said, imagine you're angry, right? Like let's say this. You operate from a place of shame. So your inner world, you're operating from a place of shame, and you're out in the park and you see a homeless man in the park. And because you're operating from shame, you look at that and you assume, man, he must be operating in shame. And why is he even here? But let's say you're a step up emotionally on the emotional ladder and you're operating more from a place of anger. And you see that homeless man, and you're like, man, why is that dude here? He's smelling the place up. Like, can't he go be homeless somewhere else? And people think this. If you don't think people think this, there are people out there that they look at a homeless person and they get pissed off. This guy's ruining the park. Go shower. Why are you so lazy? Go get a job. Right? But let's say that maybe you operate from a place of pride. right? A step up from anger. You operate from a place of pride. And you see that homeless man and you think, man, why doesn't that guy get himself together like I have? I work. I work my butt off to make sure I'm not homeless. Why doesn't he do the same thing? Is he too good for a job at McDonald's? Is he too good to go clean toilets? Why doesn't he go do something with himself? Or maybe you operate from a more neutral emotion and you operate from a place of courage. And you see the homeless man and you're thinking a little bit more of like, oh wow, that could be me. Maybe I should go over and see if he needs anything. Right? Or maybe you're a step up from that and you operate from a place of acceptance and understanding. And you're more of a, hey, live and let live. He ain't bothering nobody. I shouldn't bother him. Or maybe you operate from a place of love and you see that homeless man and you think to yourself, wow, I can see God inside of that man. I can see his spirit. I don't see him for what he is. I see him for who he can be. And I'm gonna go over there. I'm gonna go talk to him. Go find out his story. What's going on with him? Right? Or maybe you operate from a place of enlightenment and you're like, yo, that homeless man is no different than me. I am the homeless man. The homeless man is me. And you are truly connected to all, and you realize all of this stuff in the material world is transient. Now, regardless of what emotional place you're coming from, the situation was always the same. It was the same homeless man on the same park, the same day. The only thing that changed is your outlook on life. When your outlook on life, when you change, your world changes. I cannot emphasize that point enough. And why am I repeating myself so much? Some of you might have caught on that I repeat myself a lot. It's a little trick. See, the thing is, humans, we learn through repetition. We learn through repetition. How do you teach a child a language? Dad, da, dad, dad, da, 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 mama, mom. You start to repeat something over and over and over, and eventually the child gets it. Eventually, the child understands it. And then even when they can repeat the words, there's still more depth to it. Like, all right, now the child can repeat it, but do they truly understand what dad means? And the more you teach them about dad, the more they gain understanding about what is dad. What is a dad? What does it mean to be, oh, dad, and father? Father is another word for dad. Dad is another word for father. And father has a name. My father's name happens to be Michael. And father has a role. And the learning continues. It's through the repetition, it's depth. A lot of people try to go wide. They hear it once and they think, I got it, and they move on. How many of you go deep? Well, if you're hanging out with me, we're going deep all month, all December. We're going deep. All next year, we're going deep. Buckle up. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. We're going deep. I have one mission for you this year. It's keeping you focused. And keeping you focused on what? Keeping you focused on realizing the best version of you. Realizing self-mastery. That, like, you want to conquer the world in 2025? Screw that. Let's conquer the universe. You want to conquer the universe in 2025? Conquer yourself. That's my challenge. That's my mission. And so if you're on board for that, you're hanging out in the right place. These sort of conversations, this sort of information, this sort of talk, this is how we're doing that. So Adriana says, train your mind. I'm going to put it up on the screen, Adriana, because I love what you said. Adriana says, train your mind, turn the switch to cruise control. Put your mind on cruise control. Train your mind. Condition your mind. Condition your mind the same way you condition your body. Train your mind the same way you train your pet dog. You condition it so it behaves as you desire. Peter says, Marlon, in the short time being in your community, it has helped me and inspired me. I can't wait for more. Peter, I love that. I appreciate that. And if you guys want to be in the community, guys, I have a community for us. It's the easiest way to get it is to go to school, SKOOL.com / I think it's MMC free. It's a free school. Actually, what I'll do is let me put it in the comments for you guys right now. And then we can keep going here because I want to get through these last few points. And then I need to go get some water. So let's put it in here. Boom. I did get it right. It's school.com/MMC dash free. All right. Um, oh wow, what a great all right. This is gonna be the last one we're gonna end on because it's a great way to wrap this up. And it's become one of my favorite parables in scripture. And so this is the parable of the talents. And by the way, sometimes I hear people say the word talons, like it feels like a hawk with talons. Sometimes I hear people say talent. So if I say one or the other, i- to me, it's more important that you capture the essence of the story than me being absolutely dialed in and spot on the exact words I'm using. Okay, cool. So the parable of the talons goes something like this. It says that there was a master, and the master one day knows he's getting ready to go away for a big trip. And so he calls his slaves to his quarters, and it's reported that he gives the slaves talons, which is like gold. It's their money, it's their currency. He gives them talons, and he gives them talons based on their their skill and their worthiness. So the first slave he calls to his quarters, he hands him 5 talons, right? So 5 gold coins and says, this is yours. I'll be back in the future to see what you've done with it. Then the next slave he brings in, he hands him 4. He says, this is yours. I'll be back in the future to see what you do with it. And then the final one comes in, and they're all given based on their ability, is given 1 talent and said, this is yours. I'll see what you do with it when I'm back. And so the master goes away for some time, months and months and months, and then finally returns. And they know when he's returning. So they greet him at the gate and he's happy to see them. And so he says to the first, hey, so what have you done with the talents that I gave you? And he says, well, master, I put these talents to work. I found a bread maker in town and I invested into his bread making and I turned the 5 talents into 10 talents. And the master said, wow, good and faithful servant. Good job. Great job. He gave him an attaboy, right? And so he goes to the second one. And you, what did you do? Well, master, I I had a rough start at it in the beginning, but I kept at it. I found a brick maker in town. I put these talents to work and I turned the 4 into 8. And the master said, wow, attaboy. I'm so proud. 4 into 8. Good job. And the third, he goes, and what of you? What did you do with your talents? And he said, master, I knew that you would be arriving back home today. And I know you're a hard man who takes care of what's his. And so when you handed me your talents, I wrapped it up carefully in this beautiful cloth. I went into the yard and I buried it. And knowing that you would be back today, I went and dug it up for you. And sir, here is your talent back, perfect in the same condition you gave it to me. And if you know the story, you know what the master says. He says, you wicked servant, be gone. You are banished. I used to hear that story and I'm like, wait a second, what? Yo, he must be tripping. He help me understand. He gave you back what is yours, right? He didn't say I went and gambled it and I lost it. He didn't say I spent it on some girls and some food and some drink. He said, I knew you were going to be back. And so I went and I got your money and I brought it back to you. And here's your money back. And now you're calling me wicked and you're banishing me. My mind couldn't comprehend what was being the wisdom there in that story until I got older and somebody explained it to me. So allow me to explain it to you. See, let me actually include one thing before I explain it. When he banished that last slave, he said, take his one and give it to the one who has 10. All right, the dude who already has the most, give it to him. So you're taking the little and you're giving it to the dude who already has the most. This don't make no type of sense. Allow me to explain. The master was effectively teaching us that the ones who know how to do with what they have, they will be given more. People who know how to responsibly steward over something and who steward over what's given to them with the best of their ability, with faith that things are going to work out, those people are rewarded with more. And those who operate from a place of hesitation, fear, doubt, it will be ripped away from them. They will not be rewarded. In fact, what little they do have will be taken from them and given to those who are going to make use of it. A lot of you are that way with your resources. A lot of you are that way with your money. A lot of you are that way with your relationships. A lot of you are that way with your information. You hoard it. And then you operate from a scarcity mindset of, well, if I tell them my plans, they're gonna go out and they're gonna do it. If I show them the way I'm marketing, they're gonna market over me and I'm gonna lose deals. If I show them how I'm making money, they're gonna take all the customers. If I spend the money, there's not gonna be enough money for me. If I tell them that the job is hiring, I'm gonna lose out on the position. If I you operate from a place of fear and worry. And then when you do get a little something, something, you're afraid to use it. You get money, right? Here's why some of you are broke. I'm just going to be honest. Like, let me be real for a minute. Some of you are broke because you are scared to put money to work. And what you do is you've been taught that you save money, but the reality is you don't save money, you hoard it. You bury that money in the yard just like that third slave. You bury that money under your pillow. You bury that money under your mattress. You bury that money in a bank account. Some of you, your plan, whether you realize it or not, is to die with $40,000 in your bank account. And that $40,000 was supposed to be your retirement money, but you're so scared to ever spend it because you believe that once you spend it, it's gone. And that's why you never do anything with it. That's why you never invest it. That's why you never take any risk with it. That's why you never go out and do something with it. It's because you've been operating from a place of lack, limitation, fear, doubt, and worry. That's all. That's a sin. Here's why it's a sin. Right. And by the way, what is a sin? Growing up, I would hear this. That's a sin. This is a sin. He's a sin. She's a sin. Stop sinning. But no one defined what is a sin. Well, I looked into it. I found out what the word means. So it actually comes from archery. And when you sin, it means your arrow fell short of the target. So to sin is to fall short of your target. Well, isn't that interesting? What's our target? It's to become one with God, to be more God-like. And so when I sinning is falling short of the target of being more God-like. Okay. So, well, God, He all knowing, omnipresent, omnipotent, all powerful God can do anything. Therefore, to doubt himself would be ungodlike. God wouldn't doubt that something could happen, that he can make something happen, that he can grow, and that he can operate from abundance. So when I'm operating from a place of doubt, worry, and fear, I'm falling short of the mark. I'm falling short of being godlike because that's not godlike. When I'm operating with this limited thinking, with this finite mind, I'm falling short of the infinite. Okay. Which means to remedy the situation, I've got to learn to operate from abundance. I got to learn to operate with faith that not that this is a fun thing, right? Because like now let's see how it all wraps in and ties together. And if this is your first time hearing this, hopefully you're getting some value from this. I can do all things in Christ who strengthens me. It's not Marlon could do all things. I can't do all things. I'm a finite, imperfect human. I'm a limited entity. I'm a limited thing here on this world. My spirit is unlimited, but my physical body, limited. My intellect, limited. My spirit, unlimited. My spirit is connected to who? Connected to God. So I can do all things through Christ. I can do all things through God. I can do all things through Spirit who strengthens me. Right? You see where this is coming from? And so that last slave, he was operating on the lowest plane. He was operating from his own limitation. The others were operating through a higher spirit, through a higher plane, through a higher consciousness, through a higher awareness. They were operating with faith, right? Because if they weren't, they wouldn't have gone out and taken the action. How do I know they operated from faith? Because they went out and they took the action. Ain't that crazy? Ain't that crazy? Like they didn't know how it was going to work out until after it was done, but they knew it was going to work out. Therefore, they went and they did because they had faith. And this is why the master came back and said, "Good job." It's a parable. Now, what's a parable mean? A parable is a story used to teach a lesson. God is trying to say When I give you talent, when I give you money, when I give you riches, when I give you resource, I need you to now go take it and to go do something with it. I need you to go spread it. And now let's dive in deeper. I said this was going to be the last lesson, but I didn't say it was going to be a short lesson. Right? Like, because let's unpack this some more. When they took those talents, and the first one said, I went and I invested with a brickmaker. What did he do? He actually took the resources that were given to him that he was simply stewarding over, and he now shared it with the marketplace. He went and shared it with God's people, with the other people. And because he did that, guess what? The brickmaker was able to have more of these talents to go hire more people to produce more bricks. So now they're producing more bricks and other people have jobs. So other people are getting a paycheck. More bricks are being produced. More bricks being produced allow for what? The cost of bricks to go down a little bit because there's more supply of it. Now more people could build homes. More bricks are being laid to build homes and build walls. So now homes are being built. So the empire is being built. Walls are being built. The empire is being protected. As the empire is stronger, it's able to grow larger. It's able to expand. More people are able to have a better life, right? All because they took what was given to them and they spread it among the people. The second slave took it and spread it among the bread maker. And so the bread maker, same thing, was able to get more material, hire more people have jobs. Bread is going out. More people are able to eat because there's more food. People aren't starving because people have energy. They can go to work and they can work longer and harder so that they can produce more money so that they can build the next bit. And you see how it's a trickle effect? That when you throw a pebble in the lake, that pebble literally ripples all across and affects every aspect of the lake. But when you take the pebble and you say, ooh, what if I mess it up? And you bury it, you are actually stealing from every single person. When you operate from fear and doubt and worry, you are actually stealing from everybody. And I know because I used to steal from everybody doing this. I used to be a thief. I used to steal from you because I wouldn't put out what was given to me. I wasn't a good steward. I was scared. I operated from doubt and worry. That changes. That changes. And so you were all given resources. You were given talents. You were given opportunities. You were given an assignment that only you can steward over. And the reality is, if you're like, hey, I wasn't given much, the reality is God, the universe, the universal laws are saying you are given based on your ability. And what you do with the little will demonstrate what you would do with the lot. What you do with the little demonstrates what you would do with the lot. And so if you're the person that would have just hidden it all, yeah, it's a good thing we don't like, guys, it's a good thing. Whether you like the man or not, Elon Musk is now the wealthiest single individual that we're aware of, worth over $400 billion. And what's he doing with that money? He's hiring people. He's innovating technology. He's literally working on making humanity an interplanetary species. So he's evolving humanity as a whole, working on AI, working on robots, working on self-driving cars, working on making this look like the Jetson, right? So he's doing a lot with the money that he has been given to steward with. A lot. Again, you may like him, you may hate him, you may have theories about what he does and what's good and what's bad about him. And I'm not here to argue any of that. All I'm here to point out is because the man uses the resources, and pay attention to this, uses the resources to benefit others, right? Whether you're the person getting benefited and you're like, well, he's only benefiting his friends. Hey, it doesn't matter. Others are benefiting as a result of him using the resources he was given. He is being rewarded. That's the reality. That's what the results like. This is results. It's not my opinion. The results are he's becoming wealthier and wealthier. He's being rewarded with more. Whereas you might look at the things that you have been given. How many people benefit from what little you have received? Your job is to do the most with what you have in your current situation. Take your eyes off everybody else. Comparison is a thief of all joy. Your job, because it's self-mastery. We already established in the very beginning of this live that external circumstance does not dictate. External circumstance does not matter. It doesn't dictate who I am. Internal, my inner world is what creates my outer world, not the other way around. Okay? Now, we're gonna hang it out there. Oh, dang. All right. There's one more lesson. Guys, let me know. Do you in the chat? Do you want me to give one more lesson? If you want me to give one more lesson, this is what I'm actually going to do. I want to go and check out the YouTube page on my computer. And I want to see if on YouTube, if we have at least, if I see at least 15 thumbs up, like 15 likes on this video, I'll share one more lesson. So let's see. What do we got? What do we got here? Right now, when I'm on the YouTube page, it is showing me. Oh, it's not looking good. It's not loading at all. Let's see. Let's give it a minute. Prometheum, good to see you here. Peter, love it falling short. All right, YouTube is showing me. What do we have? What do we have? Still not loading, guys. I can't see. I guess it's lagging on my end. All right, guys, I can't see. So we're gonna make sure if you are new here, you've already hit the subscribe button. Make sure you've already hit the like button. Um, Prometheum says, I'm on my gaming account. This is Pilot Ben. What's up, Ben? I just saw you pop on the YouTube and I saw you comment or pop on the Instagram and comment YouTube. So good to see you, Ben. Ben, are you flying today? If you guys don't know, Ben is a pilot. Ricky Hines, what's good? Good. What's good, man? I haven't seen your name in a while, dude. How you been? All right. My YouTube is loading extra slow. So I'm going to just operate from a place of faith of believing that you guys have all hit the subscribe button, that you've all hit the like button. And I'm going to share the last lesson. No way that you just landed in Guam. I was hanging out paintballing with a family from Guam yesterday morning. Me and Caroline were out there paintballing, and one of the guys was wearing the shirt from Guam. It was like a local brand in Guam. And I was like, cool shirt. He was like, I was like, what's it for? He was like, oh, it's just a shirt made in Guam, and it's our colors. So, last lesson. Last lesson here. Whew. It is useless to desire more time if you already waste the time you have. Okay, let's unpack this one. Oftentimes we will say, if I only had more time, if I just had a few more hours in a day, if I've had 3 more days to get it done, I would. But the reality is the time you currently have, you spend scrolling, doom scrolling on social media. Maybe the time you have, you spend watching Netflix. Maybe the time you have, you talk about if I had more time, but honestly, are you effectively maximizing the little time that you do have? One of my favorite things is when a person is getting into entrepreneurship and they have a job and they are so ready to quit their job before they've even produced results. They're like, "Ah, if I could just go full time, like everyone else has the whole day to work on their business, and I get off work at 3 o'clock. I'm home at 4, and I need to eat, and I only really have from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock to work on my business." And I'm like, do you know that you can get more done in those 3 hours than most people are getting done with the entire workday? But you keep telling yourself this foolish lie that you need more time, and you're currently not even maximizing the 3 hours you have. With the 3 hours you have, what you're doing is you're opening up Instagram and you're looking at what everyone else is doing. With the 3 hours you have, you're procrastinating and you're setting up the website, and it's week 5 of you setting up the website. You're doing all these things except the things that really matter. And it's not that you need more time. It's you need to use the time you already have, the resources you already have, the money you already have, the relationships you already have, the tools you already have. You need to use the things that you already have to the best of your current capability. When you start to do that and you start to maximize the little resources you have currently, here's my promise to you. You will start to find more of what you're looking for. You will be rewarded with more time. You'll be rewarded with more opportunity. You'll be rewarded with more deals. You'll be rewarded with more money. You'll be rewarded with more skills. When you start to work to the best of your ability, the resources you currently have. Ben, for example, Ben flies planes all day long. He's got to be up in the air. And so Ben and I had a conversation about how are you maximizing that time in the air? He's like, well, I'll use that time to read and I'll use that time. It's like, I can't connect to the internet. I can't be on the phones. So during that time, I'll do my information gathering and assimilation so that when I do land and I do have that free time, what I could do is I could just immediately go and start executing and getting experience so I could get feedback so that now I can redirect my next airtime. So I'm now studying to solve the problem that I produced as based on the 30 minutes of time that I had. And in those 30 minutes of time, right? Because a lot of times people think like, here's the thing. Like we say it takes time to make results. It actually takes repetition to make results, but it takes time to produce repetition. So indirectly, it takes time to make it happen. But the reality is, I can let 10 years pass and nothing occurs if in those 10 years I'm only doing 1 rep a day versus somebody else is doing 100 reps a day. Right? We're talking about wow, you're doing 1 rep a day. It's going to take you 100 days to do what that person did in 1 day. They are going to outperform you exponentially because they are maximizing more of the little they have now. I'm going to end on that note. If you got value from this, do me a favor. Be sure to hit the like button on this YouTube video. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're not subscribed, because this is where my lives are going to be. So I know some of you saw me on Instagram, and I'm going to have the Instagram running, but the Instagram will always be muted because I want everyone, I want to hang out on YouTube more. I love the comments. I love that I can bring it up on the screen. And then also YouTube is the videos will stay on here forever so that people could come back and watch it later. So if you're like, man, that was so damn good, I want to share it with a friend, you can now just simply share the YouTube video with a friend. So I appreciate you all. I'm going to go get a drink of water because I am thirsty and I've been talking for the last 2 hours. And I will see you back on Monday for day 16. We're going live every single day for the month of December. And before we bounce out of here, actually, I got to do one last thing. First off, I got to say thank you. I'm beyond grateful. I'm honored. God woke me up today, so I'm super grateful for that. And I'm going to do some affirmations as we bounce out of here. So you guys say these affirmations on your side. I'm going to say these affirmations over here for me. I'm going to trust that y'all are saying it. First affirmation is, I am healthy, wealthy, and wise. Every day, in every way, I am getting better and better. I am a money magnet. Money flows to me easily, frequently, abundantly, and in ever increasing amounts from expected and unexpected places. I am a child of the Most High God, and I am of service to others. Guys, I love you. I'll see you here back tomorrow for another live. I don't know what time it's going to be, so anticipate sometime in the later afternoon, evening.